Hey guys, welcome to Craving for Baking. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make these awesome and simple sugar cookies. So here are the ingredients so we can get started. So we're going to start by adding in our plain flour, and in this recipe I was actually using cup measurements, but I will have in the description box the list with metric measurements for those of you who use metric measurements, but in this video they will be in cups for those of you who use cup measurements. So just going to add our flour into our large bowl. Make sure you use a large bowl so you can mix all of the dough together. Now we're going to add in our baking powder, and we do not need a lot of this. We just want to make it so it's kind of a leveling agent, and then you just want to stir that all together until it's nice and incorporated, so everything is really well mixed together and there is no space with kind of a lot of baking powder and there is not a lot of space with a little bit of baking powder, so you just want to make sure it's evenly distributed. Now into a smaller bowl I'm going to add in my granulated sugar, but of course you can use caster sugar, but I use granulated sugar since that was all I had then. So then we're going to add in our softened unsalted butter, and I'm sure you can use salted. I've just never really used salted in baking because I don't really think that it's needed, all that extra salt, but you can use it if you feel like you want to. So you're just going to mix that all together until it's nice and well creamy, well incorporated with the sugar and butter, and it's nice and fluffy and a little bit lighter in color. So eventually it should look like this. Now you just want to add in your beaten egg a little bit at a time, just so that it doesn't cuddle, because I really hate the look of it when it's cuddled. But of course, if you guys don't care whether it's cuddled or not, then just go ahead and add in the whole thing. But if you're don't like the look of cuddling, then just add it a little bit at a time, just to make sure that you don't see any cuddling. So we're going to mix that egg all in until your mixture is really nice and smooth and kind of silky and just looking like it's coming together really well, so just like this. Now we're going to add in our vanilla extract, and you really don't need a lot, and trust me when I say that, you actually really don't, because it's like so powerful when you're eating the actual sugar cookie. I don't even know how, but just trust me, because a little bit is a lot, and you just want to mix that in well so it's nice and fully combined. Now we're back to our flour and baking powder mixture, and we're going to add in our butter and sugar and egg and vanilla extract mixture into this flour. So you just want to mix that all together until it's nice and combined, and I did this in parts, so I just did it in parts so that it was all kind of come together really quickly and not like really hard to mix together, so you didn't have a really tough time mixing it together. So if you don't want to have a really hard struggle, then just do it in like parts, but you can of course do it to how you prefer. Eventually it will start to become this crumbly mixture, and you just want to add in about a tablespoon of milk at a time while you're mixing, just so that you can see if it's coming together well enough or not, and the milk is just there to kind of bring it all together. So if you see that it's not coming together really well and it's really crumbly, add some more milk. It really depends on how humid it is where you are living or how hot it is inside where you are baking. So just add as much milk until it comes into this dough ball, and it's not really soft, but it's soft to touch, and then that is when you know that you've added enough milk and you don't have to continue mixing. Also, it would kind of be a bit clear that you have to stop mixing when it's come to form a ball. So we're just going to cover that in cling film. I'm going to put it into the freezer for about 5 minutes. So once it's out of the freezer, we can lay out our baking paper, and I love this trick so much. Well, it's not really a trick, but basically you just want to get 2 sheets of baking paper and lay 1 sheet out on the work surface, and then get your dough and place that into the center, and get your other piece of baking paper and place that over, and then you can roll out your dough without it getting really tacky and sticky, because you're working with your hands, so your hands are obviously warmer than the dough, so you're gonna warm that up really quickly if you use your hands and the work surface. So that's why I love using baking paper instead of my hands and a work surface and a rolling pin. So as you can see, what I'm doing right now is I put the other sheet of baking paper over, and I've got my rolling pin, and I'm just rolling that over the baking paper until I get a reasonably thick round of dough. But you can do it as thin, well, you can do it as thin as you like, but I like my sugar cookies thick, and I think that's pretty much how they're supposed to be. So you can make them about 1/4 of an inch thick, and I think that would be just about right. So you just want to keep rolling that until it's about that thickness, and then you can peel off the baking paper, and then you can start to cut your little circles or your little squares or whatever shapes you have. So as you can see, it's really easy to peel off your baking paper because it's non-stick, so it's going to be really easy. So I just put a little bit of flour onto my cookie cutter, and I'm just cutting out some squares and some circles, and I added a little bit of flour, not a lot, because I know that adding too much flour can change the kind of texture of your cookie. You don't want it too hard, so that's why we try to avoid adding a lot of flour to this while we were rolling it out. So now we can just place it onto our baking tray, and you can put as many as you want on, but make sure you space them out as best as you can, just because it would be a bit crowded if you added a lot there. So I kind of did 6 on one tray, and I just put that into the oven for about 15 minutes. But guys, these cook really fast. I had them inside of the oven for about 10 minutes, and they weren't getting as golden as I would want them to. But then I looked 5 minutes later, and they are really dark around the edges. So you guys want to make sure you have a kind of timer, or keep a really good watch on your cookies so that they don't darken too quickly and they are just the right golden kind of color for you. So here are my cookies. They were super easy to make, and I hope you guys try out this recipe. It was super easy. Thank you guys so much for watching. These cookies were actually so good. Thank you so much for watching. I think I said that already, but see you next time. Bye.